Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Albion. Just gonna go away. Hello, and welcome back to the Albion News Gaming channel, and to an episode of the THROSTLE. You notice there isn't the music. Not gonna put it for this one. I just wanted to make a quick video. I've been out for quite a while, haven't I? Yeah. I've got a few videos. I've got another video that I just need to edit. Hopefully, I can get that out soon. The THROSTLE will be coming back for the summer because you get the transfer window, and I find that quite. I always enjoy doing it in the transfer window a bit more than I do talking about the games, and especially this season. It's just been a bit miserable, hasn't it, for many of the games, But we've been in decent form. Now, I just thought before we get into this. Make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year. So we can do that with your help. Please subscribe. And today, I was looking on Twitter, and I saw that Adrian Durham had just talked a little bit about the future of West Brom, and this made me think, this is quite an interesting thing to talk about. It's something quite relevant, and especially with what happened last night. Of course, we are mathematically down. We've been going down. I would say, to be honest, to be optimistic, I'd say it was the 0-0 draw with Newcastle. But to be realistic, it was when we failed to beat Fulham and Brighton won, I would say. That just confirmed that they've got it to like a 10-point lead. It was a 7-point lead. That could have been a 10-1. I think we could have stayed up this season. I really believe we could have stayed up. But at the end of the season, I'm going to make quite a long episode talking about nearly every game, just reviewing the season, reviewing the signings, doing a bit of my list of the best goals of the season. Of course, I can't do a little video compilation because of copyright. But yeah, I'm going to hopefully do that at the end of the season. But today we're not talking about that. Today we're talking about the future of West Bromwich Albion. Now, I just want to quickly say that all of this is my opinion. So I'm not saying this is fact. Just giving my opinion out here to pretty much everything I'm about to say. And my opinion does go that the best option we have is to keep Sam Allardyce. Not just to get us up, but to keep us up. What Allardyce has done with bringing in 3 loans and Snodgrass as well, who's been good when he's played, just not really featured too much due to injuries. What he's done with 3 loans makes me really, really think that he could keep us up. If we had £20 million to spend in the summer this year, and that was a lot because of the big pandemic that's going around, that's of course happened the last few years. I think that's a big reason we only had 20 million and couldn't have had more, like maybe 30, 40 million. What Allardyce have done with 3 loans, I think we could have stayed up if we had that side from the whole of the season. I mean, look at the players we brought in. Grady Dean Garner, Cedric Kipre. He's been out on loan, but Carlin Grant. Who else did we bring in? Ivanovic. Hardly any of them are playing. Nearly every single player we play at the moment was a championship player, or is Pereira or Robinson, who was made permanent in the summer. We don't play the signings, and the fact that that side has gone from certain relegation to in survival form with just 3 loans really shows what Allardyce has done for this side. I cannot stress this enough. So I think, for me, get Allardyce in. It looks like Jackney might be going to the Premier League, so go for Clark Harris perhaps. Maybe Malik Wilks would be a decent signing. Keane Lewis-Potter would be one I'd like to see come to the Hawthorns. We're being linked with Hamer from Coventry. I don't know exactly how you pronounce his name, but we'll roll with that one. So, get him in. Because that back line going into the Championship, could easily win promotion. You've got Furlong, then you've got a mix of O'Shea, Ajayi, Bartley and Kipre. I think any pairing would do a job. you probably want to keep Bartley in there because he's a slightly older head. But Bartley O'Shea, Bartley Ajayi, Bartley Kipre, with all solid. Townsend on the left. Solid back line. Maybe we just need to bring in a backup right back and a backup left back. The front line, you know, going into this season, we will have Robinson, Diangana, Grant. Is that it? Am I forgetting somebody? I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. Robinson, Grant, Diangana. I don't think I am, no. But we also have Phillips and Snodgrass, who I think Phillips' form, I think he deserves to be kept next season. But it's the midfield that's the problem. With all due respect, I don't think Livermore and Sawyers are going to be good enough. So probably try and offload them. Not sure about Harper. If you were the chance of a Birmingham fan watching this, listening to this even, is pretty low. But if you are, how's he done? I've spoke to a few Birmingham fans and they seem to think he's been okay. So maybe one for the bench that. But if you could have someone, if you could have Hamer and pair him up with a good defensive mid, and then Fraud would love Pereira to stay. I think he's off, isn't it? I think he's going to go. I mean, Buendia stayed at Norwich and Sarr stayed at Watford, so I wouldn't necessarily say he's definitely going, but looking at the stats of Sarr and Buendia, Pereira's had a much better year than both of them in the Prem, and they were good Premier League players. Statistically, that is. I mean, I know football isn't played on paper, is it? Now, there are rumours coming out, and I don't think we should get too excited, but there are rumours that Yukuzlu could stay, and we could make that move a permanent. And if we could, oh my word, that would just be amazing. But let's not get too excited, because we'll put all our eggs in one basket, and really, I don't know, Everton come in, take the basket, throw it onto the ground, all the eggs go everywhere, and Yukuzlu signs for Everton. And I don't mind Everton. That's basically what I'm saying in a lot less words. Let's not get too excited about Yukuzlu, because I don't think he's going to be here next season. But if he were, that would be amazing. But even if he isn't, there's a lot of other defensive midfielders we could go for out there. Reading have got a good side. They might have a player that I don't know that side too well, but Reading quite possibly could have someone we could go for as they're not getting playoffs. I mean, in that Barnsley side, there's players. Brentford, could we challenge for? Is it Marcondes they've got? I think he's a good defensive man. I think he's on a free. I think I saw he's going to be out of contract. So there's a lot of good players we could go for. Now, as I've said before, I think Allardyce could keep us up. If he could keep us up for 2 years, that would really stable the club in the Premier League. But, I mean, I'm talking about what could be potentially happening in 3 years' time, but basically what I wonder is, how do you plan for the future in football? It's not easy. It's not just a case of signing young players. It's not just a case of signing loads of young talent. Because so many... I mean, I would argue that under Pulis... I think I even remember in an interview with Pulis at the end of the season where we finished 10th and we were 8th for a lot of that season. I remember Pulis in an interview saying that we should be challenging for Europa League place next season. And that sounds so like, well, that sounds like he was being really over-ambitious there, Pulis. But looking at the side he had... Sorry about that, my recording decided to cut out. Now, where was I? Because it took a moment and a computer restart to get it working again. I don't think the recording was agreeing with what I'm saying, and thought, to save everybody, I'll just stop recording this. Now, you of course know exactly what I was talking about. And a proper YouTuber, not that I am a YouTuber, I make a video about once a year. somebody that actually knows their stuff would have remembered to go back and check what they just uploaded, but not me. I think I was on about, yes, about the side that was, so when you look back at that, when we're challenging for Europe, or when Pulis were challenging for Europe, it seems mad now, especially after remembering that season just how bad we were. But looking at that side, you can see why he said that, because just look, a goalkeeper, Ben Foster, one of the better goalkeepers in the league. Dawson, Evans, okay, we'd need a new centre-back. We brought Kieran Gibbs in that summer. Hagazi looked good for the first 3 games. I mean, he was okay bass after that, but he looked like a solid centre-back. As we were joint 3rd or 2nd in the first 3 games. You had in front of him Krychowiak, a Europa League winning midfielder that was at the time one of the best midfielders. We were getting a pay. Okay, he wasn't good at PSG, but we were getting one of the top 7, like a Europa League winning midfielder that had a failed move to a Paris French giant that would normally go to an Everton or a West Ham. We were competing with those kind of signings. You also have players like Chadley, who was injured for a lot of that season, and Morrison, Brunt, Rondon, Rodriguez. You can see why we were challenging for a European place. We were challenging for 8th out from a lot of that season. Matt Phillips as well had a very good first campaign. I swear I've talked about this before. But it all went wrong. And I'm not sure if we just went too far. I think it was quite a lot of things that relegation season. I think one was just not sacking Pulis in the summer after that awful run. 2 was the awful appointment of Alan Pardew. 3 was the fact that Morrison and Chadley, our only creative central midfielders, were injured for the whole season. And we had an aging Claudio Jacob, Darren Fletcher left, so we lost a bit of leadership. Jake Livermore didn't look that great that season. I think he was okay for the end of the season of when we brought him in, but for that season he just didn't look that great at all. And Krychowiak didn't work out. Gareth Barry was he's turned 40, and he was 37 then. We were linked with players like Nzonzi before we got Krychowiak, and maybe Krychowiak would have been okay in a good performing side. He just wasn't for us. So let's say Allardyce comes in, we get promoted at the first time of asking. In our first season in the Premier League, we stay up, finishing 16th. What do we do then? Do we keep Allardyce for another season? I would say so if that were to happen. But if we've not got, the most we'll be having is £40 million to spend, and now £40 million. What will that get you now? Maybe a mid-table centre-back and a 12, 13 goal a season striker. That's the market we're in with football now. Where Jagney was a great piece of business because we've got somebody that scored about 3 goals in 10 games on loan. If you want a striker to score, 3 games in 10 games, if you look at that, that's about 9, that would be about 11, 12 goals in a season. Normally, if you want 11, 12 goal a season striker, you're going to have to paying about 20, 30 million pounds. The market has gone mad. Look, Ollie Watkins. Okay, he's done very well, but he scored about 24 goals in the Championship and he's costing £30 million. I think that, there was a time not too long ago where £30 million would have got you a 20-goal season striker in Ligue 1 or Serie A, not the Championship. With all due respect to the Championship, It's a lot of money. And I think the notion of always having to build for the future won't work for us because we've not got an owner that's going to invest. You look at Wolves and Aston Villa, our local neighbours, they've done really well to get out of the Championship and get to the Premier League. I can't deny that, they've made some good signings. But could they have done it with our budget? I doubt so. They've been bringing in Patricio, Neves, Moutinho, players that cost about £20 million a signing. We're not going to be able to build for the future unless we get taken over by an owner of around that wealth, I suppose is the word. I mean, look at sides like Crystal Palace. Their owner invests a fair bit of money. They've recently signed they've in recent years signed Benteke for 30 million, Eze for 18 million. Okay, we could have actually afforded Eze in the summer. He was looking like he could have come to us, but he decided to go to Palace. They've made some expensive signings, and the most they get is mid-table. And I'm not taking shots or throwing shade at Palace. You need a lot of money if you want to build for the future. And what do we want to build? What are we building for? Are we building to be a mid-table side, or are we building to be a Europa League side? I do think Allardyce could keep us and stabilise us in the Premier League if we give him about 3 or 4 years. And that's what we need to do. It seems short-sighted, but I don't think we should be building from the Championship. Okay, Wolves have done, Villa built from the Championship, but a lot of the signings that have taken them from the next level to that kind of more top 10 level have been signed in the Premier League. Look at Leeds. They've signed, their signings cost quite a bit of money, didn't they? They weren't making signings on a free. They weren't bringing in players on the loan. Rafinha cost about 18 million. They've been bringing in expensive players. But, again, that side, has adapted very well. Sheffield United, another one. Their strikers, McBurney cost 22 million. Mousset cost 16 million. Who else? Brewster cost 25 million. And they've all not been able to score goals in the Premier League. Which is one of my worries about Chris Wilder. Bournemouth spent a lot of money. But I don't know. I just don't think it's not what is building for the future. And I'm not sure if it works. And so many sides that build for the future fail. So many sides. And look at the sides challenging for Europe this year. Leicester. Okay, they've done very well, and they've bought a lot of players that have, that would now be worth double, triple, quadruple, 10 times the amount. Schmeichel was a cheap signing. Fofana was 20 million. They've brought in a player for 20 million. We can afford Fofana. And it's not like he's played like a £20 million player. He's been about a £50 million, maybe not 50, I don't know. But he's been very, very good, maybe 50 million. Kind of quality player. Look at the other sides, like West Ham. Moyes has done really well, but still looking at their signings, you've got Lingard on loan. He'll cost them about 20 million-ish. Who else? I guess I also got Antonio. He wasn't that expensive, but a lot of those players, like Soucek, cost about 15 million, didn't he? Soufal cost about 12 million. So actually, no, to be fair, West Ham, They've bought players that we probably could have afforded if we were taken over by known about, you know, would give us about a £50-60 million budget in the Premier League. But that's a miracle of what West Ham have done. And the other side are clubs like Everton, who have just always been around that area. I've not got a Premier League table on me, but trying to remember it. Yeah, you've just got those sides, and you've got Leeds as well. Is building for the future reinvesting in young players, or is it in a manager? And does it work? I'd love to know your opinions on this. Make sure to let me know in the comments. But that pretty much sums my point up. Yeah. I can't think of really anything else to say on this podcast. But thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, why not subscribe? You're practically one of the Albion News Gaming super fans at this point. But no, we really appreciate it of the support. I'll try and get back into more uploading schedule, a bit more frequent. And I'm looking forward to doing the end of season roundup. Should be getting a new kit out soon. Anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. See you all in the next one, and goodbye.